Hi, everyone. Welcome to the So True Network with Dawn Johnson and Powers. I am so glad you're here, and I'm extremely excited to have you here for our In Tru Conversation series. In this space, we sit down with community leaders, educators, and our community voices who are making an extraordinary impact. Together, we'll explore how their journeys connect to the So True pillars: community empowerment, women's empowerment, and financial empowerment. These conversations are about truth in action, our overlapping circles with great people and their stories that remind us we are stronger together. As you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our So True updates. Wonderful. So then, Mr. Langston, how does your journey, because he was younger when you were going through, and he's a boy. So how did you think your journey impacted him in his growth?
Yeah, Langston. Amber calls Langston mommy's princess. Like they are hilarious. And Amber feels like Langston is the favorite. Langston feel like Amber's the favorite. So as
So
long as
you're doing a good job.
as long as those conversations are happening like that, like I think I'm pretty good. But Langston is my experience with him was different. I was a little bit older, even though I was young
Mm-hmm.
in my 20s, but I was married. I was in a different headspace with Langston. Um, I I breastfed Langston. I nursed him. He's like he's like my and he's the baby. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
still the baby.
Yeah.
I would say with him, I've been balancing, making sure that I'm not too overly like protective,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm grateful for his dad, like being there to make sure that, he has that balance. But with Langston, we talk a lot. Like Langston is a talker. He's very cerebral. He wants to talk about his feelings and his emotions. And I think that probably came a lot from me too.
Mm-hmm.
And his dad is like that too. But we, I know I created a space where like I'm honest with him. And that started with Amber, Amber being like, hey, like, it seemed like you just got it together.
Yeah.
But being able to create a space where Langston can really, like, we can really have hard conversations. He's a teenager now.
Mm-hmm.
So one day he snapped at me, and I was like,
Okay.
"Okay, you realize who you're talking to, right?" And then I said, "I'm gonna get off the phone because I don't want to say something to you that I'm gonna regret." And I get off the phone with him, right? He calls me back probably like 5 minutes later. And he's like, "Mom, I want to apologize for how I responded to you." And then he goes into talking about his emotions and his
Mm-hmm.
feelings and what was happening. And I said, "Thank you for calling me back with that." And we just kind of talked through it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we moved on.
Yeah. But
Like
I've
to
seen
me,
you evolve into that, Tina. So yeah, you taught them that.
yeah, I was cuz I mean Langston is he's a good kid. He's a good-looking kid too.
Yes,
He
he
could be a
is.
different type of young man right now, but he's very thoughtful.
Mhm.
Him and Amber both care about family, and I've definitely seen that. Um Between me and my siblings, we talk about how family's not what it used to be, right?
Mhm.
Or when we have events or events with other family members, maybe some of the other family members won't come, but you can bet Amber and Langston will be there. I'm going to be there, and even if I'm not there, Amber and Langston, particularly Amber, she's going to be asking, are we going, are we going to go? Because she wants to go, she wants to
Yeah.
see her the family. So I definitely think that they get that from me too.
Yeah, I love that. So I think one other thing that I've seen you do well, like you transition. I watch you and your husband, former husband, and y'all really tried. I mean, outside looking in, I feel like y'all gave it your best shot, and you made a choice to transition out of the relationship. And that could have been a tough, like I see children really um, go in a different direction when their parents choose to not be together any longer. But y'all handled that so well. I mean, Langston seemed to do okay. And the fact that he is thinking about. I don't know if you made a decision yet to be a social worker or not, or pursue that field, but
He's still on that path.
he's still on that path.
Yeah,
That's
he
great.
wants to be a mental health therapist.
Yeah, I love that. So, was it your growth through that process that also, do you think, helped your children navigate their feelings more effectively?
Yeah, I think the best thing that I did during that time, hindsight, is just being honest with them. It was really, really hard for me, really hard. Um, and we we did our dance to try to figure out like how it was going to work.
Mhm.
I mean, we had some tough moments,
Yeah,
just me thinking like, you know, you're not doing it right, or
right.
his thoughts about me. And one thing I'm just really grateful that I was honest.
Mhm.
I think we both were honest, and we were transparent. We never shut them down with questions. Amber didn't have questions like that. Langston did because he was the youngest, of course. Um, but he had questions when we told him we were divorcing. Langston cried, and
Mhm.
I remember he was 7, and I was like, "What are you thinking?" And he said, "I'm just trying to figure out how to get my family back together."
Aw.
And and we were sitting there together, and I said, "That's not your responsibility.
Mhm.
It's this is not on you to figure out." And even though that conversation was hard,
Mhm.
and even his dad is like, "We shouldn't have had that conversation with him." Like, but I think hindsight, we both realized like it was good. Like yes, no, I mean nobody wants to go through that. It's divorce absolutely sucks. Like
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah.
Um and even as the kids get older, it doesn't change. Like I still am impacted by my mom and dad's divorce.
Mm.
Like it sucks. It no one wins. No
Yeah.
one wins. Um but I'm grateful that Langston had that space where he could talk. We have a video. Like I don't know why I did this, but he had these questions and he was talking through his feelings. Um, and we just looked at it a few months ago, and he was like, "Wow, like I was really talking about my feelings about, how he felt about the family,
Mhm.
how he was feeling about school, like having to change schools. Like he was really letting it out. But we created a space where whatever you gotta ask, you can ask, even if it's hard. And he's asked some hard questions.
Yeah.
He's been frustrated. Um, but he had that space though.
Yeah, and I think I saw you also give him options. So, when he wanted to be with you and go to school and live with you, you gave him that option. But then when I think he wanted to be with his dad more, he could change and do that.
Yeah, so we had the setup where 1 week on, 1 week off when I lived near his dad. But then when I moved, when my dad was in an accident and I was trying to get back closer to home, it wasn't as convenient. So we did every other weekend with his dad. Langston was with me primarily, but then his dad said, Langston is getting older. This is when maybe he was approaching middle school or junior high. And he said, I think it's time for him to transition to, be with me more. And he comes to you every other weekend. Of course, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Because, us moms,
Yeah,
we
we
be like,
protecting our kids.
you're not gonna do it like me. Like he probably not gonna be washing like he should. You're not gonna be cooking like you should. All of these things, right? Which is,
Mhm.
which is control.
Right.
But I thought about it, of course, prayed about it, and felt like, why not? He needs to see himself. And whether
Mhm.
his dad is perfect or not, like his dad wants to take the lead, and he does need his father.
Mm.
Cause I mean, his mom is me.
Yeah.
Like, and I am very emotional. So I
Mhm.
don't want him growing up to be like a little emotional man. Um, but
Because you're always talking about being the G.
I'm a G. Like I want him to be I'm not a G. But but yes, that was a control thing. But yeah, he had that opportunity. We talked to him. That's what he wanted to do, and it happened. We did that dance for a few years. Langston, thank God, started driving last year.
Yeah,
Last
yeah.
year, we officially stopped with the meeting halfway to do the exchange. But yeah, he always had a voice. And I
Yeah.
think I I'm so grateful that even though me and his dad had our struggles,
Mhm.
we did not let that impact him. Even
Yeah.
even when things would come up where, Langston said this, and maybe there was a misconception that I was, I don't know, saying something negative about his dad, or
Yeah,
or
yeah.
vice versa. Dad was saying something negative about me. We would come together, the three of us, and we would talk about it. Um because it was like this can't happen. Like it
Yeah.
can't be a us, me against your dad. Like, because one of the things I do see is he's a part of the both of us.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm reaching when I say this, but I think if we all are made of energy, right?
Mhm.
And if I have negative energy towards his dad, then that means that negative energy is going to be somehow
Mm.
manifesting in Langston.
Mm.
So like, to me,
Yeah.
it's like regardless of what me and his dad was going through, not gonna say that I have been perfect and that I haven't had to, say some things, and him having to say some things to me, but it doesn't stay there.
Yeah.
Is what I really am intentional about doing.
So Tina, I want to circle back around to one point you made about, you knew that you were emotional and you were concerned about creating an emotional man. But um, I know that your intentionality just from our relationship is about balance
Hmm.
um I like to use the word harmony, but I think that you're intentional about assessing, because I don't know that it was just about the emotion, but I think you do a good job of assessing what your strengths and your weaknesses are, or your challenges. And I think you assess your husband, that we all do, and what they're, and you wanted, I think I saw you wanting Langston to have the best of both of you, and
Yeah.
maybe trying to shield them from some of the weaknesses that you saw, or the challenges that didn't serve you well.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to just get some closure to that perspective in terms of how you assess what Langston needed in that transition. Because I do think a lot of families struggle with the control, or a mom thinking of giving up, her having her child every single day in her life, especially mothers and sons, because
Yeah.
that's a challenge. So just want to talk a little bit more about the assessment that you did in terms of what Langston's needs were.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I was very clear about is I do think that there is a difference in my family. There's a difference with the way I process information and the way I would execute on things versus the way his dad would. So, and even with my brothers, like
Hmm.
they think about things differently.
Yeah.
And I knew for me, like I wanted Langston to be a well-rounded young man,
Hmm.
not too much of the masculine, not too much of the feminine. Just as, and no one is perfect, but as
Hmm.
much as we can get exposure, like I wanted him to have that. One of the things that was a deciding factor too was I remember one night Langston was afraid,
Hmm.
and he said he wanted to come and sleep in my room. And he was probably like maybe 8 or 9 at the time.
Hmm.
Um, and I remember talking to my brother about this and saying, Langston was afraid. Me and him was on the phone,
Hmm.
and he said, and Langston was going to come and sleep in my room. And my brother said, "Don't let him come sleep in your room. Make him go back to his room." And I was
Hmm.
like, "But he's afraid." And he
Hmm.
said, "But let him know that it's okay to be afraid, and let him go back into his room." And I was like, I'm not about to let my son go back into his room when he's afraid. Like, he needs to come and get into bed with mommy. Like, that's what I
Yeah.
want him to do. Like, that made sense to me.
Yeah.
And we had a conversation after that, me and my brother. And my brother said, the reason why I wanted you to make sure that he went back in his room. And I did. I sent Langston back in his room. He talked to
Hmm.
my brother, and he kind of felt strong, and he went back
Hmm.
in his room. And my brother, we talked about it, and he said, when you rob him of that opportunity, like he never really learns how to face his own like face his fears. Like, yeah, it
Hmm.
might seem like a good thing, but what you're really creating is a dependency. And
Hmm.
that can show up in different ways. That can show up in him wanting to depend on a woman to coddle
Hmm.
him, save
Wow.
him. But when he can stand on his own as a man, like it's something in him that's going to really appreciate that. And again, this is my lived experience. What I seen with that is Langston never asked me to sleep in my room again. And
Mhm.
he wasn't as timid as he was. Like he would face things. And he does that now. Like even like Langston will face hard things now.
Yeah.
He'll talk about it, so he's really in touch with his emotions and his feelings, and he will let you know if he's overwhelmed and he just need a minute.
Yeah.
But that was information that I didn't have. I think if my brother wasn't there, like to give me that perspective,
Mhm.
I would have been doing something that would have probably impacted him and not in a negative way when he was older.
Yeah.
So that's an example of that. How I've assessed things with feedback from other men that I
Mhm.
trust, and then also thinking about, what is going to be good for him when he gets older.
Thank you so much for joining us for In True Conversations. Every story shared is another piece of our collective truth that we're presenting to our community to build together. I invite you to stay connected with the So True Network by subscribing to our channel, liking our videos, and please share this episode with someone who you think may need it. Remember, your truth matters, and when your truth and my truth intersect, we will find liberty. So I'll see you in the next conversation.